All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining. The This is May now, the May edition of Unwrapping Chocolatey. Today we're going to be talking about our Chocolatey GUI application, and I'm joined by Gary Park, one of the developers here at Chocolatey. He's a principal software engineer. I will let Gary go ahead and say a few words. So, Gary, over to you.
Sure. Yeah, as you said, Gary Ewan Park. I've worked at Chocolatey for a while now. Been involved from since the early days, and I am from Scotland, so not in America.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, so as the title suggests, we are going to talk about all things Chocolatey GUI today during this webcast, and we're going to cover both the open source aspects and the licensed aspects, so you'll get a really good feel for the whole thing all the way through. So whether you're an open source Chocolatey user using Chocolatey at home, or you are using Chocolatey in your enterprise and want to get a better feel for the application in that scenario, this webinar is definitely for you. So without further ado, we are going to jump right into it and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is share a screen so we can see what's going on. And in this particular VM that I've got going on is open source Chocolatey. There's nothing else on this VM. We've got a couple of applications installed, but you'll notice that we don't have the Chocolatey GUI application installed at all yet. So the very first thing we wanted to show off was how do you get Chocolatey GUI onto your system? And we're going to use Chocolatey to do that. So I'm going to open my PowerShell window as an administrator here. And I'm just going to simply run choco install, oops, Chocolatey GUI. Say -y, and this is going to install. Now, once you have the application installed, Chocolatey GUI is going to allow you to manage all of your Chocolatey package that you currently have installed, or Chocolatey packages that you want to install in the future via that nice GUI application, right? You don't have to worry about the command line anymore. So if you're a home user and you prefer a GUI to do your work, um, this is a tool for you. So with Chocolatey GUI now installed, we can switch over and start using it. And we'll go on a little tour here, if you will, and we can see all the functions and features and things that you can do with the Chocolatey GUI application. So by default, it'll load up here, and it's going to show you all of the Chocolatey packages that are currently installed on the machine, and that's found on the This PC tab over here on the left. And that's kind of where we'll start diving into what this Chocolatey GUI application can do. This tab on the left, outside of this PC, will also show you all of the Chocolatey package sources that you have available on the machine. So by default, if you're an open source user, you're going to have this PC and probably the Chocolatey community repository installed and available as a source, and that's what we see here. So if we click on Chocolatey, what's going to happen is the Chocolatey GUI application is going to start loading packages that are available from our public open source Chocolatey community repository feed. If you are kind of clever and you're managing your own packages, or you've set up your own sources for managing your own packages, maybe you're using open source in an organizational context, which is great. You've got your own package feed that you use. That's fine. If you use just a folder on your system where you develop your packages before you publish them, either to a feed that you control or the community repository, any of those sources will show up here on that left hand side. So as an open source user of Chocolatey, you'll typically only see this PC and this Chocolatey feed. But as you add more and do more things, this list will likely be different for you. And then we'll touch on it a bit later once we move into the licensed applications of Chocolatey GUI. But you can control the visibility of things in this list as well. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But over here on the right hand side, you can see the first page of our results has been returned from the community repository here. And you'll notice that several of these I've got installed and they were showing up on this PC. And when you're looking at a source view of packages. So we switched over to the Chocolatey community repository source here, this Chocolatey source. It's got this little installed banner. So as you page through the different results and available Chocolatey packages, or as you search for things and return those results, things that are already installed on your system will show up here as installed. And we have that nice visual indicator as well. Now we'll see a little bit later um, the uh, the effects of having an out of date version of an application as well. So say you had, let's pick on Firefox just because my mouse is over it. If you were to have this Firefox package installed and then tomorrow another version comes out, right? The 139.0.0 version of Mozilla Firefox comes out. When you open up your Chocolatey GUI application and go and click on your Chocolatey source or whatever source you have available, that will no longer be marked as installed. It will be marked as outdated, and it will be a red banner in that regard. And we'll see that a little bit later on as we go through things there. But just to highlight it, now what can we do on this page again? We can also search for packages. So if we wanted to find something like a VS Code package, for example, we could search for that application or that chocolatey package, and it will return all of the results that currently by default have VS Code in the name somewhere or in the ID somewhere, right? If we want to search for VS Code, the package explicitly and exactly, that's what we can use this checkbox here for. And by marking that box as checked, it will show us only the VS Code package. And we can do other things like include pre-releases. And then if we really wanted to see all the different available versions, we could click all versions, and this will return a ton of results, right? Because VS Code's been out for a while, it's been a package for a while, and it's an automated package as well. So as new versions come out, they get picked up and published to the Chocolatey Community Repository. So depending on what you're doing, you can get a lot of information really, really quickly and really, really simply right here inside of this Chocolatey GUI application as well. So that's searching for packages, and I'm going to go ahead and clear these results so that we get our normal package view here. And then I'm going to drill into a package and show you all of the additional information that you can retrieve about packages as well. So we'll pick on this Google Chrome package. Now, there are two options here. We could either double click on this package, and that will bring us to the package details page, or we can also right click on this package and go to details as well. So from here, we can read information such as the authors of the software. In this case, this was Google. Maintainers we don't have currently. The package ID, the version, the number of downloads of this particular version, and the total downloads of the Google Chrome package as a whole. All of this information is available here. And it is important to note that not all repository feeds provide the information in a way that Chocolatey can display this information here. So depending on what source or what repository type you're using for your packages, you may not get things such as the download counts, etc. So that just to note that we can only display the information that we're given, right? So, in terms of the Chocolatey Community Repository, we know how to display that information. We provide that information, and Chocolatey GUI happily shows you that information. Again, we can install this application by clicking the install button, or if we wanted to, we could click the install advanced button. I'm going to go ahead and click install here. And what that's going to do is install this Google Chrome application on my system. And just so there's no smoke and mirrors, you'll notice there's no Google Chrome desktop icons here, and there's no Google Chrome listed yet inside of programs and features here. But give it a second, and we should see that desktop icon show up over here, and the application will be installed. And if you wanted to, you could click this console output button, and we would show you the output of what Chocolatey is doing during that installation process. And as you can see here, we've now got that Google Chrome application installed on the system, and if we open it up, it's there. So we've now installed that Google Chrome application. Um, Depending on your configuration, and since we're talking about open source right now, you do have the ability to uninstall those applications. And again, to uninstall the Google Chrome application, I'm just going to right click on this package here, and I'm going to say uninstall, and it's going to ask me, am I sure? I'm going to say yes. And again, we'll see that output coming from what Chocolatey is doing, and then that Google Chrome application is no longer installed. Um, Now, what we can do to show off the use of package parameters and more advanced installs, we are going to search for the Kitty package, and I'm going to uh, go to the details of this page, and you'll notice that this one has documented that there are some package parameters available. So there is this slash portable switch that instructs the installer to install the portable version and not the system-wide version of this Kitty application. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that really quickly, and I'm going to click on the install advanced button down here. And what this is going to do is provide me the opportunity to specify what version of a particular package that I want to install, or if I want to install the latest version. Now, Kitty's not been around super long, so there's not a lot of versions here, but I just want the latest one anyways. So I'm going to select the latest version, and for those package parameters, I'm just going to paste that portable thing in, and I'm going to fix it over here so that that gets passed to the Chocolatey install command at runtime. Any install arguments, these are arguments that will be passed to an installer rather than to the package. We don't need any of those right now. We're not going to use any of those, so we're going to leave that blank. And there's a couple of other options as well. Things like is this a pre-release package, forcing 86, your options for dependencies and checksums, etc. Pretty much anything, or actually anything, that you can do via the command line with Chocolatey CLI to install an application, you can do inside of Chocolatey GUI via this install advanced modal that pops up. So you have full control both on the CLI and inside of the GUI application and how you install those Chocolatey packages. So for this one, I'm going to click install, and again, we'll show you that console output. And this one, it's very, very small, so it will complete very, very quickly here. We're just shimming all the different executables, and there we go. Now, if I were to come over here, and actually, I'm going to close that out and refresh it because I don't have a PowerShell profile. And if I just type Kitty now, we get that Kitty application. Because I installed the portable version, it won't be in the start menu. But that is installing, uninstalling, and installing advanced applications through the Chocolatey GUI. There's functionally no difference in behavior between the open source version of Chocolatey GUI and using Chocolatey GUI in a licensed context. That same functionality is there in terms of being able to install, uninstall, and upgrade Chocolatey packages, install packages using advanced package parameters and things like that. All of that's available. Um, where things start to differ is the fact that you can begin to limit what people can do. So you might want to prevent them from uninstalling applications entirely. So that's something you can do there. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Before I dive into the settings of Chocolatey GUI and starting to uh, explore that area of the interface. Gary, did I miss anything in terms of explaining sources and this PC and dealing
No,
with packages? Okay.
I think you've pretty much covered all of it. The only thing I don't think I saw, there is the option of not using a tile view. There is an option of using
Yes.
a list view for packages. So you can do that both on this PC and on remote sources. So if people, depending on what you prefer, there is the tile
Yes.
view, which is what Stevie's got just now, and there is a list view. The list view looks slightly different when you're doing this PC because there's not as much information to show. So you get more of a this is just what I've got
Yeah.
installed. And it also has information about the out of date and other things that pop up on the current status of the package. But no, other than that, there are some questions that I'm lining up in terms of answering live, but we can do that a little bit
Perfect.
later.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Cool. Very good. Um yeah, let's dive into settings and then we'll break in and we'll do some of those questions before we move on into the next section here. So that'll be perfect. So settings tab, pretty self-explanatory what's going to be in here, right? So the very first thing that opens up is settings for Chocolatey GUI itself, this application, and things that you can either allow or disallow. Things like defaulting to dark mode. If you want that to happen, you can tick that on, and we'll flip over to dark mode, which I actually prefer dark mode in Chocolatey GUI, but I know some folks prefer light mode, so um, you can default that to dark if you would like to. Um, different things in here in terms of hiding this PC source, hiding the download counts, et cetera, et cetera. So controlling what's visible and what's visible inside of Chocolatey GUI, you're able to do those things. Here via the Chocolatey GUI tab of the settings interface. Uh, in terms of Chocolatey itself, you do have the ability to manage Chocolatey CLI's configuration and features as well through this application. So if you want a more graphical way of turning Chocolatey features on and off, or a more graphical way of changing the configuration settings, such as setting up a proxy, for example, it's a little friendlier and a little easier to do it here inside of the Chocolatey GUI application than trying to remember, oh, what's that Choco config command that I need to run to set that proxy up, right? So even if you're just going to use Chocolatey GUI for managing the features and settings of Chocolatey CLI, there's benefit to the application, right? Um, so as we go down through here, I don't think there's anything in particular uh, in terms of the chocolatey configuration that I wanted to show just now. But the last thing that you can do inside of settings that I find very easy and slightly, well, not even slightly, it's much more user friendly and easy to manage your sources using this GUI application than it would be to do it on the command line, particularly if it's something you only do once in a while. Right now, if you're using Chocolatey Enterprise and you're doing configuration changes and managing Chocolatey at scale, these CLI commands become second nature, right? I can spout them all off the top of my head, no problem. But if you do it every once in a while, and it's a very rare thing, being able to come in here and provide a new chocolatey package source via this GUI interface is very, very handy. And some of the things that you can do in here, we've got this chocolatey source. If we wanted to disable the source for this system, we could come in here and actually, I need to cancel that. And then here, and I can come down here and I can say is disabled, and then we can save that, right? And then that chocolatey source will be disabled on the system. Now, I don't want that to stay disabled, so I'm going to uncheck that and save that again. But we can edit the existing sources, and then we can also add new sources if we wanted to. If we wanted to remove a source, we could do that as well by highlighting it. Make sure that the information fills in here, and then we can click that remove button. Now I'm not going to do that because I don't want to accidentally remove my chocolatey source from this system. But that is what we can do there in terms of settings across all of the different things. Now, when
From
we
memory,
start,
Chocolatey GUI does see things like that as a destructive operation, so it should prompt you if
it
you
should
really
warn me.
want.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
should from
yeah.
memory, but
And it does, but I don't trust myself to not instinctively click yes. So I'm not even going to tempt fate. Not that I couldn't put it back right away because it's just a chocolatey source and super simple. But I'm not going to do that now. There's a couple of things that we didn't look at on the main interface that I wanted to touch on really, really quickly. There's a couple of icons across here. So what we can do is whenever Chocolatey GUI opens up, we check those outdated or check those packages that are currently installed on this PC tab if they're outdated or not. Now, that information I believe is cached into a local database file. Is that correct? And then
It's
it's
not quite
persisted
a
for a
database file,
while.
but yes,
Yeah.
we do persist that information. And if you would, if for some reason, like for now, if you went into settings, there's a button
Hmm.
to purge the
Yeah. Purge
the outdated packages. So
outdated
it's just a
packages.
file
Yep.
on disk.
Yeah.
So just because as the number of packages that you have grows, the length of time it takes for the outdated status to run grows. So we cache that for a period of time, and then
Yeah.
but you can force it, which is what that button is doing. If you wanted to force a
Yes.
refresh of that
Yep.
information, that's what that button is for.
Yeah, and that's what this button right here is for. And if you hover over these buttons, it tells you what it's going to do. So this first button here, we're going to check for the outdated packages. We're going to force that. So um, and then again, we can refresh those packages. So say you are on this feed and uh, it's not the Chocolatey community feed. Say you're using your own and you've got the GUI application open and you've published a new version of a package or you've published another version of a package without opening the Chocolatey GUI or closing and reopening it or clicking away from a source and going back to a source, you can click this refresh packages button. And what that will do is talk to that particular source repository and refresh the view here to include that package that might be new or that new package version that you might have just published. So, very user friendly way to not have to, jump through a bunch of hoops to get new information. There's buttons up here to help you do that sort of thing. And again, down here, just because I didn't show you earlier, there is a next button down here, and as you page through the different things, you can go through the different pages of applications or chocolatey packages the source has, and then you can go all the way to the beginning or all the way to the end of the list as well. And there will be as many pages as required to show all of the packages that are available. Now, there's 200 pages of stuff here because the Chocolatey community repository has 10,000 packages on it. So there's a lot of stuff to show here. But for you, if you're running your own repository server, you might only have 30, 40, 50, 100 packages. So I know some customers that have several hundred, but it just depends on your use case. You might only have one page or 10 pages or whatever is required to show the total number packages that a source actually has available. That's the last thing there. And before we dive over, I need to switch to another VM um, to show off the licensed bits because again, I don't. This isn't a licensed VM at all. This is purely open source. While I'm doing that and getting set up, if there are any questions that we wanted to answer at this point, now would be a good time to do that.
Sure. So I'll take one of them. So one of the questions was, if you look at GUI on my system, I see some chocolatey logos that are grayed out. These are ones that ChocoSync made, correct? So that's not strictly true. So what Chocolatey is doing there is Chocolatey GUI is looking at the new spec file for the package, and if there is an icon URL, we will attempt to download that icon and put it there for display. If there isn't an icon URL, then we show a grayed out chocolatey logo. And if there is an icon URL that for whatever reason we can't download it, you saw it on the last page of
Yep, I'm just
documents that
gonna.
Stevie had open, there was a red circle with a white cross through it, which indicates that we weren't able to find that icon. So what I think might be happening there, Fred, is that ChocoSync, when it's creating the package, it doesn't know the icon URL for the application, so it hasn't been able to populate it. But that's something you could absolutely modify within the new spec file that was generated by ChocoSync to put an icon URL in there if you wanted to. So that was one of them. The other one I thought we could tackle just quickly because the other two are a little bit bigger. Question from Raphael is, can I set a package to always install with parameters without a user having to enter them? Um, no. So during the installation of a package, you need to specify what those parameters are, unfortunately. Now, you could script that, obviously, or you could have an installation script. You could do that through a deployment within CCM. But if there are package parameters required for the installation of your package, you need to set them. Now, what I think you might be touching on is the concept of remembered arguments for an upgrade. So if you do an installation of a package and you do have to enter some parameters, there is a feature flag in Chocolatey that allows the Chocolatey to remember those arguments if you do a subsequent upgrade of the package. But for an initial installation, you would need to set those command line parameters for what needs to be installed, either through Chocolatey GUI or from the CLI.
Yeah. Yep.
So hopefully that answers your question. The
Yeah,
other two
and
are slightly longer, so we could come back to them later at the end.
yeah, just to show real quick that if you do install uh, a chocolatey package using advanced parameters in chocolatey GUI or on the CLI, and then you go look at the details for that installed application. Down here on the bottom, you can actually see this view package arguments button. If you click that, you will be able to see the package arguments that were persisted onto disk if you are using the use remembered arguments feature inside of chocolatey. So you can see that information, and that information will be used should you update a package that was installed with those remembered arguments, as Gary mentioned. Um, so with that, let's go ahead and move over to our client machine. This is that one. So we've now moved away from open source Chocolatey, and we're going to start using the licensed version of Chocolatey for Business. So initially, when we open up the Chocolatey GUI application, and this one will probably take just a moment to open up because it's not opened on this machine before, and this machine is slightly less powerful than the other machine. It's not got as much RAM. I should have made it the same, but I didn't. So I'm just going to make this window slightly bigger as well. Now you'll notice on this machine that I've got a different set of sources on on this machine. So this particular machine, because this is Chocolatey for Business, I'm running my own repository server. I've got my own repositories that I'm providing Chocolatey packages to um, my end users on. And in this scenario, I've got an engineering repository for my folks that are engineering, my developers. And this repository has a couple of applications that they need to do their work, right? They write in Go, they use Visual Studio as their IDE, and they do some observability stuff. So they have Grafana so that they can install it locally and play around, right? So a couple of engineering specific applications. And then I've got this other repository, which I'm calling Syndicate Apps, and that will become apparent why in a little while. But if we look at this feed, I have the ability to provide not only those same engineering apps, so you'll see that VS Code application, Go, et cetera. But we also have things like a couple of web browsers and Foxit Reader, for example. So mixing and matching some different repository types, having a couple of repositories available, showing that you can control whether the Chocolatey community repository is available or not, because in this scenario it's not. And then also the chocolate licensed package feed is not available as well, since this is a licensed version of Chocolatey that we're running here. And that's apparent down here as well. If you'll notice, it says Chocolatey GUI and it's got the word business at the end. That means we're using the Chocolatey GUI licensed extension as well, which gives us some more control over the Chocolatey GUI application. And we didn't really turn it on and off and see it, but just to put a pin in it, we're going to go to settings and we'll go to Chocolatey GUI. And then what we are going to say is I'm going to find this, hide this PC source. And you'll notice that this will only work with Chocolatey for Business and the Chocolatey GUI licensed extension installed. So in the open source version of Chocolatey, should you tick this on, you would still see this PC. Now I still see it because I need to actually close Chocolatey GUI and reopen it for the setting to take effect. But in an open source version of Chocolatey, that this PC thing would still be there because you're not using a licensed version of Chocolatey. Um, what else can we turn on that business? So hide all the remote chocolatey sources. We can do that as well. So if we were to turn that one on and restart the application, we would actually see nothing over here the way my configuration is currently set, right? So we're saying, hey, hide all those remote chocolatey sources and then hide this PC as well. Um, so these actually came about from customer requests. So the uh, we had one customer say, "Hey, we only want the Chocolatey GUI application so that our end users can see what chocolatey packages they have and manage the chocolatey packages that we put on their system." So they had the ability to see what was installed, and then if something became outdated before the admin had a chance to push that upgrade out, they would be able to upgrade that application kind of self service on their own and beat their admins to it. Um, we're going to show you in just a moment the abilities that we have with Chocolatey GUI and the Chocolatey agent. If you use them together, there's a feature in Chocolatey for Business called Self Service Anywhere, background service mode, as I like to call it, which allows you to take the admin rights away from one of your end users and them still be able to install software through Chocolatey GUI and these Chocolatey packages. And we can really control what they're able to do even further as well. So we'll dive into that in just a minute. But before we dive into that, I actually want to change what Chocolatey GUI looks like. So by default, we have this chocolatey icon over here. Uh, we had that chocolatey splash screen that showed up when we opened the application, but you might want this to look more like your organization, right? So prior to this webinar, I ran a poll in one of our Slack channels and was like, I need a fictitious company name so that I can come up with some logos and branding to use for this Chocolatey GUI application. And one of our engineers came up with a couple of good ideas, and the one that ended up winning was a fictitious company called the Broccoli Syndicate. Now, I have no idea where this comes up or it comes from, but it was hilarious. So we had AI generate some logos for us, and that is where this Syndicate app's name comes from because we are, for the purposes of today's demo, the company, the Broccoli Syndicate. So without further ado, I am going to brand Chocolatey GUI with that Broccoli Syndicate logo. Now, I'm going to do it via a Chocolatey package, and we'll show the documentation for this after I do this. But I'm going to go ahead and right click and just say install so that we get that package on its way, and we can see that again, we show that console output. We can see exactly what Chocolatey is doing inside of here. And now that that package has been installed, if we close Chocolatey GUI and then we open Chocolatey GUI again, what you'll see is we get a new splash screen, and it's pretty big, but it's not too bad. So we got our splash screen, Chocolatey GUI loads, and then we get our new logo up here in the left-hand side. Now, I can go out to our documentation. Let's go to docs, chocolatey.org, and we can search once we're on our doc site for branding. And then let's go to the branding page. I always click the wrong link. So we give you an example of what it looks like before and after. And then we give you what files you're going to need. So you're going to need to create these handful of files. We're going to tell you where to put them, and then we're going to walk you through creating the Chocolatey package. Now, I spoke with Gary prior to this webinar, and we've come up with a way to make this a little bit easier. So while you see the documentation as it is now, what we're planning to do is create a Chocolatey branding template and place that on our license packages feed for you guys so that all you have to do is Choco install that template package, and then you would run the Choco new command with the template parameter and supply that template. And then all you would have to do is drag and drop the files that you need, those logos, into the tools folder before you pack it. So we're going to make this documentation much, much simpler, and that should be available before we send you the resources email that you'll get after this webinar. So the docs look like this today. By the time you see it again in that email, they'll look different, and it'll be much, much simpler. But for today, this is all we're doing. So it's a new spec file, an install script, a helper function, and then an uninstall script as well. So pretty simple package to put together to brand the Chocolatey GUI application. But we are very much fans of making things as simple as possible. So we're going to fix this up and make it even easier in the future for you guys post webinar. I just didn't have a chance before the webinar to get it all put together. So that's coming down the pipe. We're going to make that even easier for you. So now with the Chocolatey GUI application actually branded, we can actually start to show off a couple of the license features that I think are really, really cool. And just to make sure that I've got everything set up correctly, I'm going to use the Chocolatey GUI application to look at my sources that I have configured on this machine and ensure that the applet or the sources that I care about are actually configured the way I want. So, in order for a non-admin user with the background service to be able to install Chocolatey packages, the source that they're going to use has to be configured to allow a non-admin user to use it. And that's by setting this self-service feature flag. So on the command line, That's done when you run the Choco source add command. You will add the allow self-service flag. Inside of Chocolatey GUI, you would just tick this is self-service box. And by doing that checkbox, by ticking it, you're telling Chocolatey CLI that a non-admin user is allowed to see the applications that are on the source or Chocolatey packages, and also install packages from that source. Now, there's one more aspect of background service mode that is really, really powerful, and that is the background service allowed commands, which is actually, hopefully, the very first item in this list here. So, by default, when you install Chocolatey and the license extension and you have everything set up, by default, the only two items in this list are install and upgrade. So, in order for a non admin user to be able to uninstall applications once they've installed them, you need to add the uninstall command to the list of background service allowed commands. Now you'll see that we've already got that set up here. We've now allowed our non-admin users to uninstall Chocolatey packages as applications, but there's a level of control that we care about here that we've not addressed, right? Like if I as an admin install a browser, for example. Say I want everybody in the company to use Mozilla Firefox. So I, as an admin, deploy the Chocolatey package for Firefox out to all of my endpoints. But I've got all of these users that have the ability to remove packages, right? They could take that Firefox package off. So what we can do is there is a feature called allow background service uninstalls from user installs only. So by having the allowed commands set for install, upgrade, and uninstall, and this uninstalls from user installs only feature turned on, you say that if I, as an admin, install a Chocolatey package on your machine, you have to live with it until I take it off, right? You can't affect that package. You can upgrade it if you want when it becomes outdated, but you cannot uninstall it because you are not the person that installed it in the first place. Um, but if you were to come in and open Chocolatey GUI and I've made Google Chrome and Edge available and you prefer one of those browsers and you install it yourself, you can take that application off. You can remove that Chocolatey package because you are the one that installed it. So there's a level of control there that you can have with your Chocolatey packages if you're leveraging Chocolatey for Business in that background service mode in your environment. And you can find more information about that background service mode. So if we go to docs.chocolatey.org again, I'm just going to cheat and go here, and we will go over to the features page, and self-service anywhere should be in here. There it is. So self-service anywhere provides you all of the information, et cetera, and then shows you how to set it up. And if you wanted to look for it, you could look for background service, self service. You could find more information in there as well. So take you right to it. There's all kinds of information in the docs about setting that up, configuring the agent, etc. There's a bunch of different ways that you can configure the agent depending on your security requirements and your organization. If you need to run it as a domain service account, etc. All that stuff is in the docs, or you can always ask us, right? We're always around for that sort of stuff as well. Um, so let's see what that actually looks like in practice. Now I'm going to go into settings and go over to sources, and I'm actually going to turn off this engineering source as self-service, and I'm going to save that. And then I'm actually going to sign out as my user because if we look, we've still got that engineering and we have that syndicate apps source over here. And I'm going to sign out of this because I'm signed in as an admin account right now. And then I'm going to sign in as this other user here. Oh, come on. Go full screen. Of course it doesn't want to go full screen. Oh, it's going to be a bear, isn't it? Let me make this a little bit better. All right, perfect. I guess we're just going to have to deal with it not going full screen. That's fine. So we're going to open this Chocolatey GUI application as this non-administrative user, and we can prove that it's a non-administrative user if we go to this PC and then we go to this webinar folder and we attempt to install as soon as GUI closes here. There we go. Get this out of our way. If we try and install this VLC application, we can say next, 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 next. Notice it's trying to install the program file. So if we say install, it's going to get so far and then it's going to error out. It's going to back itself off because it can't, right? We don't, it's not there. Application is not installed. It can't. We're non-administrative user. So what we're going to do is go to our Chocolatey GUI application. I'll make it full screen here. Notice that we can't see that engineering repository. It's not available in our list because we told it that it was not available for self-service. So it's not an admin user, can't use it. So we're going to go to Syndicate Apps. We're going to load these. And now I actually want that VLC media player package. So I'm going to right click and say install and let it install in the background here. And we should see the VLC icon show up here on the desktop. And because it's local, oh, why did it fail? What did I do wrong? Y'all worked yesterday. What did it do? Try it again, see what it says. Fine. I don't know what's wrong with my VLC package. Demos are always fun. Let's do a different one, I guess. There we go. Isn't that a syndicate apps? What's another one that I have on here that's small? I could do Google Chrome. That one's not bad. There we go. That one's working. I don't know what happened to my VLC package. It's very strange. Right. While this is installing and we're waiting on a package icon to show up on the desktop, that pretty much ends the well, there's one thing that I haven't mentioned yet. I should mention. So we've talked about the settings thing quite a bit. You'll notice that when you're a non-admin user, you don't have the ability to click into settings here because the non-admins aren't allowed by default. You also have the ability when you have the Chocolatey GUI license extension installed to set settings both at a user level and globally. So there's a flag that you can set, and I'll go to the doc site to. Oh, I forgot I switched users, so we go to the doc site chocolatey.org. And we go to the Chocolate GUI license extension, and we go to the setup page, and we go to installation. Or is it under the config? We have them all listed, I thought. Chocolate GUI CLI. Yeah, here we go. So if you run the Chocolatey GUI CLI config command, you can change those settings via the command line. And then you can say dash dash global. And what that will do is allow you to set it for every single user that logs into the system and opens up Chocolatey GUI. They will have those same settings across the board. And then you can set those settings at a user level as well. So something to make note of and be aware of, as well as the fact that you can set things globally so that if your environment has machines that are shared by a couple of users, you can set that machine up so that the same settings are available across multiple users, etc. I don't think I had anything else to show in terms of settings. We did use it. Yeah, I think we're good. Gary, did I miss anything? Do we want to roll into questions? I know we're getting to the end of it here, so want to make sure we leave plenty
Yeah,
of
no,
time for
I think we're
questions.
good. So there are some questions that I think we can tackle. But I
Cool.
think in terms of what we want to show, I think we've got through everything. Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Great.
So
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
some of them I might pass over to you, but I will attempt
Sure.
to do some of them. So the first one from Martin is effectively the question is does chocolate GUI do anything special when it comes to handling of dot install packages to prevent the duplication of packages in a feed or what's installed? So the example there would be if you install VS Code, you do Choco install VS Code, or you do it through Chocolate GUI, you're actually going to end up with two entries. One is for the VS Code package, and one is for the VS Code.install package. Um, Short answer, Martin, there is that Chocolate GUI doesn't do anything special with that regard. No. There have been some discussions about it and how we might be able to make it clearer that the meta package that is VS Code, for example, um, uh, is like the parent one for the dot install, but Chocolate GUI at the minute doesn't handle, it doesn't do anything special there. The main suggestion there would be if you do have your own internal repository, you only have the dot install packages on your own internal repository. So you just take out the need for the meta package that's there. So that would be the only thing I could suggest there for Martin. There's an anonymous attendee who wrote a question that I didn't understand, and I asked them to do it again. So the follow-up question, I think, touches on what you did with your setup for the Syndicate Apps feed and the engineering feed, because the concern is about double dipping of having binaries or packages in two places. What you can do in the likes of Nexus and Art Factory and ProGet is you can combine multiple feeds into a group feed. So you could
Yeah.
have some packages over here on this feed for engineering, some packages over here on this feed for finance, and some packages on this feed over here for another engineering another group, and then you can syndicate all of them together. So I think that's what you're getting at, anonymous attendee. If that's not what you're getting at, then maybe follow up outside of this webinar, and we can hopefully get that question answered. You can always reach out on our community Discord feed, or if you are a licensed customer, feel free to reach out to support, and they will help you get that question answered. There was a question from Douglas, and this goes to the comment that you made about Chocolate GUI taking time to spin up on the VM that you have here, and are there any recommendations, or what was it that was causing the host to run slowly? As all of us here within the Chocolate team can testify to, if you're running VMs whilst on a Zoom call, everything runs slowly. So what I imagine Stevie's done is he's given one machine lots of more additional power, and he didn't do the same with the other one. running Chocolatey GUI doesn't add that much in terms of an overhead. It's literally just most likely it's just because Stevie is doing the same thing through a Zoom call as well, and Zoom eats a lot of the system resources. So I
Yes.
suspect that's what's happening there. It's not because Chocolatey GUI itself is taking up resources. It's just the system in general.
Yeah. Just a note on that. I checked. This VM that we're currently playing with right now has 2 gigs of RAM.
That's not a
And
lot, Stevie.
it's not slow. Like everything's pretty snappy once the application is up. Like Chocolate Goo is fine on not much RAM. But yeah, for the reasons that Gary said, I should have gave it more because Zoom likes to eat RAM, particularly when I'm screen sharing. If I'm just in a meeting, it's fine. But once I start screen sharing and there's lots of people, Zoom starts to eat it worse
Yeah.
than Google Chrome tabs do. So yeah, you can get away with a very, very lightweight machine that no performance issues really at all. It's just the overhead of what I'm doing. I wish I would have made it more powerful. Yep.
So there was a couple of questions from, I'm going to butcher their first name, but the second name is Molnar. It's Uwe, or I don't even know how you'd pronounce that differently, but I'm going to go with Uwe Molnar. Um, is it possible to hide the settings from the end user in Chocolatey GUI? So there is a setting within Chocolatey GUI where you can restrict access to the settings page to non-admins, and Chocolatey GUI will respect that setting. Uh, when you have the license extension in play. But then there's a follow-up question that says, so do I get this right? Is every admin on a machine allowed to make changes to the GUI settings, or is there maybe a possibility to hide the settings completely? Short answer is no, that anyone who is an administrator on the machine can modify the Chocolatey GUI settings in the same way that any administrator on the machine can modify Chocolatey configurations by itself. If you have admin rights, then you can modify the settings of both Chocolatey and Chocolatey GUI, but you can restrict access to the settings page for non-admin users. You can absolutely do that. And then and I pronounced the name perfectly. I'm gonna take that. I'm quite happy with that. Thanks for confirming, Uwe. Love it. So hopefully that answers your question as well. If not, again, follow up with either in the Chocolatey Discord or community Discord or on the support. You can get that as well. So uh, I'm just gonna get rid of some of these questions so I can see what's left. I think we answered this. Copy, send that to get rid of that one. I think we did that one as well. What else? So Raphael's question confused me. How much time we've got left? Maybe we've just got enough time for this. I have some software that needs to be installed with a Chocolatey local admin to the C drive where the normal user doesn't have rights. But some software like Postman only works if it's installed in the user context. Can I change if the background service is used for specific packages? I think the answer to that is no, you can't.
That is correct.
Okay, cool. So,
That
Raphael,
is
sorry,
correct.
the answer is no. Sorry. No, this is not currently possible. I'm typing while speaking, so this is going to go terribly. There are a couple of minor ones or short ones coming in. Let's just do them and then we'll finish up. In GUI, is there a way to tie in CCM computer groups and only show certain sources to machines in certain computer groups in CCM? No, there is not currently. You could absolutely do a CCM deployment to modify what sources are available on a specific computer, but there's currently no correlation between groups in CCM and sources that they have access to. That's an interesting combination of things that could be useful. So that was Josh Houston. If you wanted to follow up with support about that, Josh, we can take that and get some issues created internally because that's an um, interesting thing to suggest. I was hoping to use the Chocolate GUI as a company portal replacement, but it doesn't seem possible just yet. That was from Adam Phillips. I'm not too familiar with Company Portal, so I don't know what functionality it has over Chocolate GUI, but obviously happy to take some feedback on that. and there are other things coming in. So
Yeah, I think we
Burn
need
Burn
to.
Dreek is saying thanks for answers, but we need to follow up. I need to leave. That was Uwe. What are the implications of hosting the stores in free version of Nexus server? I have 250 devices with Chocolate installed. I don't know internal support. I'm not a licensed person. I don't know how to answer that question. If you have Chocolate support, follow up there, and we might be able to answer the question. But with that, I'm going to say that we're done.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds good. We are 2 minutes over, so we are very, very, very good on time. That's awesome. I did pop a poll up on the screen for folks if you would like a demo Chocolatey for Business. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll now. So if you did say yes to that poll, we'll follow up with you after this webinar to talk to you, get some information, etc. The next webinar will be on June the 12th. I'm actually really, really excited about this webinar. We're going to be talking with a good friend of mine about using Chocolatey inside of GitHub Actions. So if you are using Chocolatey in CI or wish to use Chocolatey in CI and currently aren't, but you want some information, join us next month on June the 12th, same time, 12 Eastern, where we will discuss that. If you've got ideas for a future webinar, we'd love to hear about that as well. As soon as this webinar ends, you'll be taken to a survey where you can fill that in and let us know your thoughts on any ideas for future streams. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much to Gary for joining me on stream here and answering all those questions. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you for joining us as well. And we will see you at the next one. Take care.